So, you know, it's a good win after suffering 2 losses down in Orlando. But we learned a lot of great lessons from that experience. Still trying to reclaim our identity defensively. Really challenged our kids tonight to play with more aggression, have more pride, really sit down, get in a stance, and defend the way that we know we're capable of, and we've seen it, we've witnessed it, but we need to get back to figuring out, not figuring out, we just got to get better at guarding our man. It's real simple, just guarding our man, and having a tremendous amount of pride in keeping our man in front of us and not allowing direct drives and not allowing any easy penetration from the wings as well. And so we got to continue to work on that. We're far from being where I want us to be, and I think our kids would agree with that. We had a great third quarter tonight, and that was good to see some shots going down for us from the outside. But still struggled, I thought, in the second and the fourth quarter in particular. I wanted us to really execute. Once we got the lead, I really wanted us to execute more in the half court, and I was disappointed that we didn't do a much better job. Not that, you know, anytime teams are pressing us, we always want to be aggressive. We don't want to be passive against any press, and I thought we were aggressive, but we didn't get any easy scores out of it. And that's, again, making better decisions. 16 turnovers is too many. 11 in the first half, in particularly, is not acceptable. And it was us being careless with the ball. It had more to do with us and our carelessness than it did Yale. You know, overall, obviously, we're out of here with a win tonight. But you know, we have a Big Ten starts in a couple days, and we got to clean up a lot of things before we head to Wisconsin.
11 first half turnovers, is that something that concerns you going into Big Ten season?
Oh, there's no question. Turnovers always concern me. You know, because, and I've said it to Greg Murray on the radio today, and I've said it to our team, our margin of error, because of our lack of depth, because maybe we're not as athletic, maybe because we're not as big, is really, really small. And so we got to be really great at the little things. And not that taking care of the ball is a little thing, it's a huge thing, but it's something that we can control, and we can do a much better job of making sure that we're making the right decisions, we're putting something on our passes. We have to be better screeners. We have to be better at coming off our screens. We have to be better at recognizing when our players open, and making sure that you know, we get the ball in when it's necessary. And sometimes we over dribble, and we got to correct that. So certainly, turnovers always concern me, and there's no reason for them tonight. And again, nothing. With all due respect to Yale, but it wasn't like they were up in us like we faced against West Virginia and Miami. And so we got to learn from that.
McIntyre hit some threes.
Hit a lot of threes. How many, 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was super tonight, you know, and again, we cautioned our kids because, you know, she's taken the most threes, but she has the worst percentage. I mean, she was shooting like 17%, I think, coming into the game. And we cautioned our kids about, you know, kind of like the Sanford game. We refer back to the Sanford game, and they weren't shooting it great at the time from the outside, and they torched us from the outside. So we talked to our kids about her being a terrific shooter, her taking the most threes, which means she's still very confident regardless what her percentage is. Obviously, she's done it and can do it like she did tonight. And we didn't do a very good job of, we were trying to go zone out of bounds, and we lost her a few times. I thought we did a little bit better job. You know, once she, you know, I think hit her third one, I think our kids finally figured it out that, you know, she was pretty hot. So we gotta recognize that, though, way sooner than the third 3 that she hits.
it seemed like Alexis really got going offensively.
She did. You know, Alexis, she struggled not against Miami. I thought she was pretty good against Miami. Struggled against West Virginia. You know, she's right now, you know, kind of going through some issues with her lower calf, where it's tightening up a little bit, and it's slowing her down. It's cramping up a little bit, and so we're trying to manage that. But it does slow her down, you know, a little bit, and so we gotta figure out. You know, Robert has to figure out, you know, what we have to do in order for us to give her some relief, and maybe it's taking her out, giving her more of an opportunity to rest and rub that out, and then put her back in. But it was nice to see her get going, because down in Florida, especially against West Virginia, her shot was short, and I thought tonight, you know, she had a couple that were short again, and you always worry about that, her being able to lift and push off of that calf. And so, you know, I'm sure that Robert, like I said, he's done a great job with our players, and he'll manage that and make sure that she's ready to go against Wisconsin.
Coach, did the tougher schedule that you set up, do you think it accomplished what you wanted to prepare the team for the Big Ten?
Absolutely. And I think we you know, there's probably, you know, I think back to the DePaul and the Georgia Tech and the Ohio, and the trip down to Orlando was really good for us, and that's really strange to hear a coach said it was really good for us when you come back 0-2. But two teams that are going to be in the tournament, two teams that played us differently than anybody else has played us, really got up in us, pressured us. Miami in the second and the third quarter took Tyra away, you know, really just denied her, and face guarded her, and that made us kind of stumble a little bit, and we had to figure that out. But just the physicality that we faced down there, I thought was really good for us. You know, we're pretty good when we can work in space, but what we got to get better at is when teams are playing tighter up on us, how we can shake our defender, and that's again by setting and using screens, and trying to get some space that we can work within. And you know, that's one of the things that playing West Virginia and Miami in particular, they taught us that lesson, and so we got to continue to get better at that. And it's an emphasis every day with our screening and our setting up our screens and getting ourselves open. So the schedule did just what we hoped it would do, and that was prepare us for Big Ten play. You know, I know that our kids, you know, I've said this again also, they welcomed that. They wanted to play competition. They were excited about the schedule that we had in place, and there were some really good moments in our pre-conference schedule. That you know, the Chattanooga win was huge. The Sanford, you know, come from behind overtime. Georgia Tech win, obviously the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and so there were a lot of great takeaways. But they were not just takeaways from a positive perspective, but they were takeaways. They were learning takeaways, and you know, hopefully we still got a lot of work to do for sure, and especially on the defensive end. But and we got to be able to execute better down the stretch when we have a lead, and that's what was disappointing tonight. I didn't think we executed the way we needed to. When we had an opportunity not to have runouts against the press and try to get, you know, easy scores, I really wanted to see us get it back out and try to execute, because I think that'll benefit us as we go into Big Ten play.
Jess Walter started tonight. I guess what about her? Or I guess wanted to put her in the spot.
Well, you know, Jess, that 3-guard spot has been sort of an interesting spot for us, because here's what, from a staff, here's kind of how we feel, that we're putting an awful lot of pressure on Tyra, on Lex, and on Cahill. And we have to have help. We have to have help from Jess Walters. We have to have help from Carly. We have to have help from Taishi. We have to have help from Kim Royster. And Jen, you know, and you know, sometimes juggling things up and mixing things up is never a bad thing. And you know, Jess has practiced, probably had 2 of her best practices since she returned from Christmas. Therefore we put her in the lineup tonight, just because we loved her energy, and she shooting, seemed to be shooting it better in practice, and playing a little bit more freer, I think, and put less pressure on herself. And I don't know if she just came back and decided I'm just going to play. And then I thought Carly was obviously terrific tonight as well. But Taishi, we're going to need her. We need all of them. Let's just be honest. We need all of them. But mixing things up, like I said, is never a bad thing. And hopefully it gives Jess a shot in the arm, but hopefully it gives Taishi, some incentive to work her way back into more playing time. And maybe grabbing that starting spot back, because minutes are always up for grabs. So are starting spots. And you can determine that through practice. You can determine that through production during games. And that's what our job is as a staff, is to figure out, it's about results. It's not about this looks good on paper, or what she can do, or what she can give us. With the potential, yeah, we can talk about potential, but the results are what matters.
Thanks, guys.